Hey, what's up? This is Brandon with BiggerPockets.com, and today I need your help analyzing a potential triplex for a BiggerPockets reader. Hang on. Today I'm going to walk through an analysis of a property that somebody actually sent me a private message about. They were thinking about putting in an offer. So I thought this would be a really good example to help everybody kind of walk through how I look at a property like this. So a quick backstory, the person, we're going to call him Jake. Jake is looking at a triplex. The triplex is listed at $250,000. He is not going to pay that much. He's thinking about offering around $210,000 for it. It is a triplex with a main house and then 2 basement apartments. Kind of like that show Income Property. It's got 2 rental units in the basement. Both could rent for around $550 a month. And he's thinking about living in the main house, renting out the basement apartments. He's also in a house right now, which he would be renting out and moving into the new one. So we're going to look at whether or not that's a good idea or not, and I'm going to use the BiggerPockets rental property calculator, which you can find at biggerpockets.com/calc, and you can head there and check out, do all these calculations yourself. You can also do this on just a piece of paper or an Excel document, whatever makes you happy. So here we go. Let's walk through this thing together. So here I'm going to start here on the rental property calculator, and I am going pretty fast through this. I sped up my video. So we're going to enter in the address, all the information there. We're going to enter in the property taxes. I wasn't exactly sure the amount of the property taxes, so I'm kind of taking a guess here. I'm going to write in probably $1,800 a year for property taxes. I don't have an MLS number. I'm going to add a photo here just to make it look prettier at the end. Let's enter in the details here. Purchase price, $210,000. After repair value, I'm going to write $250. Doesn't really matter for what we're doing, but that's the asking price, so I'll put that as the after repair value. I don't think it actually needs a lot of work. He didn't mention that anyway. So we're just going to write $1,000 because there's always $1,000 worth of something to do. So we got purchase closing costs, estimated repair costs, and now we get to the loan details. He's looking at doing a 3.5% FHA loan, which we're going to write 3.5% there. Interest rate, I'm going to put at 4.5%. And points charged by the lender, I'm not going to actually put anything there because if you notice up above where it said purchase closing costs, I just put a rough $5,000 number in there, which kind of assuming that would cover everything. If I wanted to actually go through and write down all the charges individually, I could, but this is a quick and dirty. So points charged by the lender, I'll leave that blank. Other charges, I'll leave blank. Loan fees and points, I'm just going to leave at pay loan fees out of pocket because we're not going to wrap it into the loan. That's usually more typical for house flipping. Amortized over 30 years and typical cap rate in the area, we're going to say is 8. I don't know what his area is, but we'll say that. Total gross monthly rent here. We're going to individually put these in. So basement number 1, $550 a month. Basement number 2, $550 a month. Now here's something interesting I want to explain. When analyzing a property that you're going to live in, like a live-in duplex or triplex like this one, I always run the numbers as if I'm going to rent it out because you're not going to live there forever. A year, 2 year, 3 year from now, you're going to rent that property out, the main unit. So we want to run the numbers as if you're not living there, and we'll see how it is. In a minute, I'll actually run through the numbers as if you were there, and we'll look at those as well. But for now, we're going to put in the main house, let's say $1,000 per month that one would bring in. Other monthly income, nothing really coming in at that place. As for expenses, we're going to put in, let's just say, the water, the extra charges that these tenants are going to pay is, we're going to say $50. Garbage, $50. That's probably pretty light. It's probably heavier than that. But I'm not going to go too deep into that right now. Monthly insurance, I'm just going to guess about $100 a month for a triplex. And other expenses. Now, Jake, the person looking at this property, mentioned he was going to use an FHA loan. FHA has something called a mortgage insurance premium, MIP. It's kind of like PMI, same thing, it's just their version of it. And that's typically a real rough way of estimating the amount is about $100 per month per $100,000 finance. It's just an extra charge they tack on just to offset their risk. So I'm going to add an extra $200 in monthly expenses just because of that MIP. So vacancy rate, I'm going to estimate at 8%, repairs 8%, CapEx 8%. Those are the big things that happen every once in a while. And then finally, property management, I'm going to put in at 12. That might be high, might be low for your area, but that's probably pretty typical. It's usually about 10% plus half of the first month's rent. Usually works out to about 11, 12%. Finally, future assumptions. We don't have to do this, but I like to for now. We're going to guess that income will go up by 2% per year. Property value will increase 2% a year, and expenses will increase 2% per year. And let's calculate it and see what it comes up with. All right, so the final document here shows up, and we can see that the purchase price of $210, we got all our numbers here that we entered on the left side. Notice here that total cash needed by the borrower would be right around $13,350, which isn't terrible to buy a $210,000 property. Jake would need about 13 grand. But notice here, the monthly income we had figured out is $2,100 a month. Monthly expenses, however, comes to $2,332, meaning Jake could expect a negative monthly cash flow if he were buying this as a rental property right out of negative $232 a month. That's actually about 4.5% cap rate. That's pretty terrible. I mean, we'll get to my opinion on this in the end. But anyway, total cash on cash return would be a negative 20% return on investment. That's not so good. So let's keep going. We're going to scroll down the page a little bit, look at a few other numbers here. Down here, you can see a few more expenses. You can see some expenses. Where did all that, why are the expenses so high? They don't seem like they should be. I can click on the expense tab. I can see vacancy, CapEx, garbage, all that thing's added together. And then the mortgage on top of it. Looks like definitely is a negative cash flowing property like this. So let me move on. I'm going to go actually edit the report. We're going to go back and edit it as if Jake is actually living there. Remember I said I like to do it two ways. So let's go back real quick and do that. If I go back, all right, we're back into the main step one. We're not really going to change anything here. We're not going to change anything here. All we really want to change is the total gross monthly rent. Remember before I included all three units? Now we're going to take out the main house. So we're going to say just those other two are coming in. Now we're going to look at the rest of the numbers are all about the same. We're going to leave them there. And here's our new numbers. Notice here that the cash flow now is not negative 200 and some. We're now negative 872 because we're not getting that top unit, that rent coming in anymore. So we're now losing $872 per month in negative cash flow. That kind of throws off a lot of numbers. So what does that actually tell us? What that tells us is that's how much it would cost Jake to live in the property. It would cost him personally about $872 on average over time to live in that property. So let's go back to the original question. Should Jake buy this property or no? A lot of guys would immediately say no, and I wouldn't buy this property. But what if Jake was currently paying $2,500 a month because that's what the going rate was? What if he lives in an expensive area like, Seattle, New York, LA, and he was paying $2,500 a month to live in a 2-bedroom apartment? Would this be a good deal? Well, $2,500 is a lot more than $872, and at least he'd have a property that was hopefully appreciating. So that could be that way. He also could be in an area that's rapidly rising in prices, and he could want to get in on the appreciation game. That's not really my game, but it might be his. And I know there's probably other reasons that maybe it'd be a good idea. I don't know. So, but those are pretty much the numbers that it comes out to. You can let me know what you think. Leave a note in the comments below. Do you think this was a good idea, a bad idea? Would you buy it? What would you buy it for, maybe? That's a good question. What advice would you offer to Jake on this? So go ahead and leave me, whether you're watching this on biggerpockets.com, on the blog post itself, or if you're watching this on YouTube. Just leave me a comment below, either place, and let me know, would you buy this property? Why or why not? And how much would you actually pay for it? Hopefully this guide helped you guys out a little bit. And I would love if you would do me a couple quick favors. One, if you could hit the thumbs up button on this video. That tells YouTube that you like it and more people will see it. And also, come check out biggerpockets.com. If you're not already involved, come jump in. It's a free community. Get active, jump on the forums, read the blog posts, listen to the podcast. There's a lot going on. So biggerpockets.com. You could spend the rest of your life there and never read everything there. So for Bigger Pockets, this is Brandon Turner signing off.